Oh, how I love Jesus. Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy, never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Some tobacco smoke I got out of that cigar. The end of it, rolled some kind of mini joints out of it. It's a little harsh, but boy, does it taste it too, and it's a little strong like those puros. I like tobacco sometimes. Makes me feel like an Indian. So, just wanted to say, I think we got some good warriors coming to town, because last night I went to a prayer meeting that I was nervous about this guy I wasn't sure was a real guy for the king. I've been asking about the king and I'm getting purely silence. But before I got there, somebody in the chat got there and called himself I Rock from Chicago. And I'll tell you what, he was definitely on my page, because all he was talking about was the king. And he got like the same message as me. When the king talks, he doesn't deal in small letters. And so like when I go on chats, when I talk for the king, I can't not use caps. And some people in the mod sometimes say, hey man, so much caps. I'm like, hey man, sorry. When I get orders from the king and it's king's words, it's got to be in caps, because that's all the king uses. He uses little words because that's Prince stuff. So I'm not doing it on me. If I do my own words, I use Prince words like little ones, but that's not from me. Well, I got to use caps, and that's how it is. So he was using caps, and he was talking king and saying, get ready, king's coming. And I saw that, and I felt right at home, and I just started, doing my whole thing. But not as much, because I already had help, I said a couple things, like, hey, it's time for Eden 2.0. Phone is fig leaf as needed. Naked for the king who's coming, naked like that. So he won't come to us and say, I don't know you, with all that bundled up. Suddenly, the other guy in the chat said, where 2 or 3 are gathered for the king, it's all done. We're all good here. Done deal. And I was just like, shaka, bro. It was like, suddenly, the whole prayer meeting of like 400 people just totally faded in 1 second. All of a sudden, they're like, wait a minute. This guy is a false teacher? And by the end of it, he said, this will probably be the last that I'll do, and I hope I see you all again in heaven. In other words, he knew when you push that line and you act like you're for the king, but you're not, if you don't get down on the floor and beg for forgiveness, you're done. You better walk away, because he's coming, and it ain't going to be pretty. Because, see, that's the funny thing about what Jesus said in Matthew, is that many people will come to him in that day and say, oh, Jesus, Jesus, in your name I did this. And he'll say, I don't know you, get away. Because I saved you by dying for you, and now you don't even want to admit I'm your king? Well, you can go to whatever savior you're dreaming that would do that, because that's not the king that I became. And after he went through all that and lived and died and called all these pastors dens of thieves, and you're going to follow one of these and say, you know better than me who's who and who I'm supposed to be? Because whenever you've got a king, you've always got a prince. There's always one around that wants to make himself king. But the problem is, nobody did that yet. And nobody would do that unless it was from above. And everybody wants to talk about going up, but the one that's coming from above would be the King of Kings, which we all need to bow down to right now. Because if there's ever an alarm going off with all these princes with double mask and all the BS games, why doesn't somebody just see what we're on the same page, get together, and start working for the king? Because, it's not like anybody's supposed to be playing delay of game, but when they're all cooped up and masked up, well, who knows? Because it seems to me you probably could have come at Christmas with the naughty list already in hand. Almost like too many people wanted to stay on it. Because, see, if you're on the level and you're not sure, well, let's see, king, prince, whatever. Well, Prince died, but he made a really good song, Purple Rain, and it has a lot of reason. Because if you look at the red, blue bill government traps, why is it not red, blue pill church straps too? Because they want to say Catholic and they want to say Orthodox and they want to say Baptist and they want to say SDA. But yet many in Revelation 2, Jesus came and they said they were not of him, but they were of Satan and other princes and Nicolaitans who he hated. Sounds a lot like SDAs that say unless you go to church on Saturday, you will be excommunicated. But yet, we never want to talk about a Sabbath millennium, a karma rest taught of old, that everybody knows that 6,000 years would be the time of work, earning 1,000 years of rest. And we are already at that point right now. But everybody wants to think about who should be king. But there's only one who should be thinking about that. And that's the king who comes. And how ready we are to take him. Because the more we go on and on about, oh no, what about this? What about that? Remind me of that when I was a kid. The sky is falling, cried Chicken Little. And what are chickens always known to do but peck each other to death when they get nervous? Kind of reminds me of these masquerades everybody's running around in. So if we just think right simply about what's going on and what needs to happen, we might wake up with UFOs coming and say, no, I think I'll take the king. Because I'm not trying to get out of this stuff. I'm ready to bang it off. Because after my king comes and brings the comma gold, and we can talk about who's in and who's out. Because he ain't coming to say, oh, by grace I love you all. But he's trying to say, who am I going to say, well done, good and faithful servant? And whose works am I going to pass through this fire and say, you got gold because you had a heart of gold for me, and you followed that golden rule according to what I sought you. So, do you seek him or do you seek self? That's gonna come clear real quick. Because when he comes, he's not gonna be like, okay, did you decide? No. He's already decided when he sees you. Are you really supposed to be mine? Because if he starts asking you that and is saying, I don't think I know you, that's not a good place to be. But if you say, well, I just talked to you today, remember we were going over how we're going to go do this and go do that, and you're going to help me? Well, then he might not say that to you because you're talking to the coming king and not Sam's Prince Savior that's supposed to take you to another cold-blooded planet where though you thought everybody was boiling in hell, oh Jesus that is, well he might have some frozen cold-blooded lies other for you to dip your faith in. Because you see, as your faith, so it will be given to you, lad. And if you trust little, like your little heart might, well, then you will get what your faith would reward you with. And if that be little, well, you shouldn't have had little faith. Because remember, the disciples were always told that. Oh, you have little faith, they said. That's what the master told them. And if you want to be a good teacher, you must become like your teacher. That's what a good student does if he really likes his teachers. He says, how could I become like that? And when the centurion came and said, come, heal my servant, did Christ say, yes, let's go. Because why? Because he knows that he needed to put on the show. Because without the show and his hands actually touching the hand, oh no, we don't know if we can do it. But the centurion said, no, don't waste your time. Just say it and he will be healed. And the disciples said, wow, what is this? And what did Jesus say? Oh, great faith I have not seen. Not even from these dimwits. Yes, that's right. That's what you would be if you had been with the Master. You had seen great faith on display, but you had still not to see. And that's why he said, oh, if you had eyes to see and you could see. But they could not hear or not see because they were so close to that musical, beautiful, magical man that they made him God before he was king. And that's fine because he did have deity in him, but that's not what his point was. It was the power could come to all of us through him. If we would trust him enough and have the faith that he taught, then we could do those amazing things. But if we all think small and say, oh no, that's too much, then we can go off in our own little faith like Judas did. Because everybody has a faith to one point or another. But when you start to steal the king's throne, that's quite another. So you need to study why you wouldn't say king, why you wouldn't study king, when that king is coming and all the world's waiting for a new king for 1,000 years. So where is your heart? And where is your head if it's not with a coming king? And if you are worried about the things of this world, well, they're passing away quickly. But his are a whole new world to come. So don't get so caught up in these things, nor these jobs, because it's all going away very fast. But the king has a naughty list and a great karma gold. And if you just work starting fast, you can wear less clothes and earn gold for the king. And then when the economy is set, not only will you go through the bima and your works pass through the fire to make sure that you were 100% for the king. And when you get blessed and you get a mansion or you get a small apartment, depending your heart, then, well, you will have that place for the king and be able to serve him for 1,000 years in all truth, perfect, garden restored for 1,000 years. So remember these things and look to that king. And do not be distorted by all these other things, because they will keep going away day by day as people wake up to the king's true pay. Because this place is no place to worry or fret, as it goes down really quick with fires and snow and all of that stuff. But if you know what's coming and who's going to make it, you don't have to worry. Just put yourself in Revelation 7, pick your tribe, and make it. And look at Revelation 22 for what will come when all the lies in the ocean are dried out with fake salt. And that will be the memorial of what happened to the lying people and how we don't want to go there. because we are in the truth karma kingdom. So put your head and your heart and your whole heart into these things and love God right like a king and say, please come soon, my king. And bless him and thank him for all that he does and how you can be a part of the greatest reset. I love you all.